Zombieland movie review. So this is another one of my scripted movie review series in which I go back and I look at a review I made on the weblog years ago and try and make a YouTube video out of it for whatever that may or may not be worth. Case of Zombieland, I was in Japan when this came out and as a result I wasn't able to see it initially. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember it getting a big theatrical release in Japan. Sometimes some of the comedies don't. And it didn't hit the video store, at least while I was living there. But there was a bit of a buzz surrounding this movie when it came out, and I began to hear both people on the internet talking about it very highly, film reviewers making YouTube videos about what a great movie it was, and also people I knew. Some of my friends had managed to get a pirated version of it in Japan. They downloaded it on their computer and they were telling me what a clever movie it was and how it was real funny. And they said it was real funny because it was a zombie movie, but they made it into a comedy. And I said, okay, that would have been funny 10 years ago, but we've already had Shaun of the Dead do that exact same thing. The Shaun of the Dead came out in 2004. Zombieland, I think, came out in 2009. So, at the time that Zombieland came out, Shaun of the Dead was still really fresh in my memory. I think in a lot of people's memories. So, I said, what's to distinguish this from Shaun of the Dead? Why do we need another zombie movie, only this time it's a comedy? And nobody was really ever able to give me a straight answer on that. But eventually, once I was back in the US, I found this movie in my video store and rented it and decided to give it a try myself. The tone of this is a lot different than Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is a movie which takes nothing seriously. Everything has kind of a subversive or irreverent edge to it. For example, when they're throwing the records at the zombies and they're arguing about which albums to keep, or Sean's friend Ed, who just refuses to take the zombie apocalypse seriously. This movie, Zombieland, felt a lot more like a typical American teen comedy, just with zombies mixed in with it. I don't think I liked it a lot. I much preferred Shaun of the Dead. But that's not to say that it didn't have its moments. The opening narration, when the character Columbus was explaining the rules, I thought that was pretty funny, well done, clever the way they had the graphics pop up. And the way those rules kept popping up at appropriate moments all throughout the movie, I thought was also pretty clever. Some of the conversations the characters would have were pretty good. They did get me chuckling. But the big problem I have about this movie is that they tried to just load on the sentimentality and they tried to make me care about the relationships these characters had. And I just wasn't interested in that. Plus, most of the things the characters did made absolutely no sense, which made it very hard to care about them. Those girls were so stupid. Just about everything they did throughout the whole movie made absolutely no sense. They kept getting in trouble by doing stupid things. Spoiler alert, I guess, but that part in the end where they went to the amusement park just made absolutely no sense, especially because the movie had gone to such lengths to set up the fact that anything like that where you're out in the open and you're creating a lot of noise is the last place you'd want to be in this zombie apocalypse. Movie had clearly established it by this time. So what were those girls thinking by going to that amusement park? It made absolutely no sense, but those girls, they weren't real characters. They were plot devices. They got in trouble and they needed to be rescued, and that's how the plot was able to move forward. Which, fine, but then don't try and make me care about them. and don't try and make me care about the relationship they have with the other characters. I just had no patience for that. So yeah, I don't want to say this movie wasn't entertaining, because it held my attention while I was watching it. But I certainly wouldn't recommend anyone need to go out of their way to see this movie. I much preferred Shaun of the Dead, and I think Shaun of the Dead did it first. And this movie, no, I didn't care for it.